بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وآل الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our discussion about Ijtihad and Taqlid. As you remember, we were studying the book Usul al-Istinbat. The author himself believes that when it comes to A'lamiyya, it's not necessary. According to the author, the marja doesn't need to be a'lam. And we read and discussed his arguments. Now he mentions the arguments for the people who believe in necessity of following a'lam. Adillatu لزوم تقليد الأعلام, the arguments for necessity of following the most knowledgeable jurist. Because we have to see arguments for both sides and then evaluate them and see which one is stronger. So he says the very first argument that those who believe in the necessity of A'lamiyya have mentioned is that if you follow the one who is most knowledgeable, then it's more likely that you are reaching the reality. It's nearer to the reality, or it's more likely. It's أقرب إلى الواقع. Okay, al-waqi is the real ruling which Allah knows. Yeah. For example, you want to know whether you should say 3 tasbihat arba'ah or 1 tasbihat arba'ah in the third and fourth rak'ah. So certainly there is a real ruling that Allah knows. Yeah, because we believe there is only one ruling. And the job of mujtahideen is to reach that and discover that. We don't believe in tasrib. We believe in takhta. Yeah? Because there are two views. Some Muslims believe that every mujtahid, when issues a fatwa, that fatwa is correct. Okay? There is no way to make mistake. But we say no. We believe in takhta. We say no, mujtahid can make mistake or can reach the truth. What is important is he is excused even if he makes mistake. If he has been doing his best and he's qualified and pious, so if he makes mistake, still he's excused, and if it's a marja who makes mistake, his followers are also excused. Therefore, we say للمصيب أجران وللمخطئ أجر واحد. The mujtahid who manages to discover the truth and reach the truth, he would get 2 rewards, as famously has been said. And if he makes mistake, at least he gets 1 reward because he has done his best to understand. So, some people then say, now that we know there is one reality, okay? So there is one ruling that it corresponding to the real one. Whose opinion is nearer to reality? Which one is aqrabu ila al-waqi? Or, in other words, which one is more likely? Because nearer, to be nearer means to be more likely. Which one is more likely to be matching the waqi, the real? So, those who believe in A'lamiyya, they say, those who are more knowledgeable, the chance of them understanding is more. Yeah? استدل القائلون بلزوم الرجوع إلى الأفضل بأنه أقرب إلى الواقع أو الظن به أقوى. Those who believe that we must refer to the one who is better, who is more qualified, they have said that this is nearer to the reality, or الظن به أقوى means it's more likely. There's a stronger possibility that the opinion of the one who is more knowledgeable would match the truth. But the author says this is not always the case. It's not that always the opinion of A'lam has a better chance of matching the truth, the reality. How? You wonder how? Because the one who is less knowledgeable should have less chance. He says, I give you few examples. Suppose there is a'lam among living maraja, and there is one or two or more who are less knowledgeable. Okay? But before this generation, there used to be another marja who has now passed away. And he was more knowledgeable than all living maraja. And the fatwa of the one who is second most knowledgeable matches the fatwa of the one who has passed away but was most knowledgeable. You understand? Is it clear? So, if you are comparing only among those who are living, maybe A is more knowledgeable than B. But you shouldn't think that this means definitely, necessarily, his fatwa is more likely to match the truth or to hit the truth. Why? Because maybe B is actually in compliance with someone who used to be the most knowledgeable among all, and now he has passed away. Okay? So he says, هو مدفوع. He says this argument is refuted, is rejected. بأنه قد ينعكس الأمر. Sometimes it can be actually opposite. What can be opposite? You said the one who is a'lam would be aqrabu ila al-waqi'. Yeah? We say it can be opposite. The one who is not a'lam can be more likely to be waqi'. You wonder how. We say if his fatwa matches the one who has passed away and was most knowledgeable. Or if his fatwa is according to mashhur. Suppose, look at this example. Suppose the one who is a'lam says, for example, Salatul Jummah in the time of ghaiba is wajib. Wajib ta'ini. The one who is a'lam says what? Salatul Jummah in the time of ghaiba is wajib ta'ini. Means everyone has to do Salatul Jummah, not ta'khiri. Suppose it says ta'ini. But then we have the one who is not a'lam, and he says it's not wajib ta'ini, it's wajib ta'khiri, for example. And this is actually the mashhur, the opinion of most of ulama. So when something is matching the opinion of most of ulama, isn't it more likely than the one which is just one person, even if that person is a'lam? Yeah? If you have one person who is a'lam, but you have the view of mashhur, which one is more likely to be aqrab ila al-waqi'? Mashhur. So, قد ينعكس الأمر, I repeat, فيما إذا وافق قول المفضول قول الميت الأفضل من الحي الأفضل. If the opinion of mafzul, the one who is the second most knowledgeable, his opinion corresponds to the opinion of the dead marja who is more knowledgeable than the a'lam of today. Al-Hayy al-Afdal. Who is Al-Hayy al-Afdal? The living one who is most knowledgeable. Yeah? So if B, who is living but not most knowledgeable, but his fatwa is like the one who used to be alive, and it's definitely most knowledgeable among all these three. So now we have two people first, and that alam is one person, plus one of these two people was a'lam among all. أو وافق الاحتياط. Suppose you have a'lam and second most knowledgeable, but the idea of second most knowledgeable is matching ihtiyat. So if you follow him, you are on the safe side because what he says matches and is compatible with ihtiyat. أو القول المشهور. The opinion of a'lam is against mashhur, but the opinion of the second most knowledgeable is according to the view of mashhur, the common famous view, or anything like that. So you cannot say all the time the opinion of the living a'lam is more likely. Yeah? Especially imagine, for example, as I said, maybe there are few people. Suppose we have 10 marja, and you establish one is the most knowledgeable. But if the other 9 differ, can you say this one person, his opinion is more likely than 9 other maraja, but who are not the most knowledgeable? Yeah? Of course, you may say yes, you may say no. It's not very clear, it depends. Sometimes, for example, we have so much trust in someone and the distance is so big that if the teacher says something and 10 students disagree, you go for the idea of the teacher. Yeah, if there's a big distance. But if they are not very much lower than him and there are 10 people not very much lower, then it gives you more confidence. So he says the first argument seems not to be strong enough to say that we must certainly follow a'la. I am only explaining for you the book, and you want to see both sides. The next argument, some people have said we have ijma'. Ijma' manqul. You remember we said there are 2 types of ijma'. What are those 2 types? Al-manqul wal-muhassal. Al-ijma' al-manqul, it's transmitted, it's narrated. People have claimed there is ijma'. But al-ijma' al-muhassal is that you yourself go and come to the conclusion after examination, after research, that there has been ijma'. So you discovered this consensus. Al-ijma' al-manqul is not hujjah. Yeah? Unless you are 100% trusting and you become certain. Otherwise, just claiming ijma' is not enough. In any case, let's see whether there is ijma' really or not. استدلوا بالإجماع المنقول. Those who believe in a'lamiyya, the necessity of a'lamiyya, they have argued from ijma' al-manqul. وَجَوَابُهُ, and the answer is إِنَّ هَذِهِ الْفَتَاوَى or إِنَّ هَذِهِ الْفَتْوَى لَمْ تَكُنْ مَعْرُوفَةً عِنْدَ الْقُدَمَاءِ ظَاهِرًا. He says, this fatwa that you must follow a'lam seems not to be available among earlier generations of scholars. If you go before Allama Hilli, Mutaqaddimin, like Sheikh Tusi, like Sheikh Saduq, and so on and so forth, he says it seems you don't find people saying that we must follow a'lam. Inna hadhihi al-fatwa, which fatwa? Luzum Taqlid al-a'la. This fatwa that you must follow the most knowledgeable, lam takun ma'rufatan inda al-qudama zahiran. It seems that it was not a well-established idea, let alone to be agreed upon. Yeah? Not only there was no consensus, it seems that it was not very, much familiar. Bal, he wants to go even further. He says there is a chance that you might even claim ijma that there was no need for a'lamiyah. بل لو ادعى مدع الإجماع. Okay, it's very important to read correctly. لو ادعى مدع, if someone claims, mudda'i becomes mudda'in. If a person claims that actually we have consensus among the companions of Imams for the opposite, not only we don't have consensus that a'lam must be followed, we have consensus that it's okay not to follow a'lam. لو ادعى مدع الإجماع من أصحاب الأئمة على العكس لم يكن مجازفا. Opposite. So if someone makes this claim that actually among the companions of Imams this was an established and a common idea that there is no need to follow a'lam. He says if someone makes such claim, لم يكن مجازفا, he is not far from truth. He is not, a person that you can say he is not right. Yeah, he says something arbitrarily, something in vain. It's something that is worth considering. Why you can even claim that among the companions of Imams there was consensus that it's not necessary to follow a'lam? It says لأنه لم يرد عنهم إلا أنهم كانوا يرجعون إلى أقرب فقيه وأيسر راو من دون ملاحظة الأعلمية. He says because we have not received any report that the companions of Imams used to refer only to a'lam. No, what we have received is that they used to go to the nearest faqih. Salam alaikum. Because at that time, accessibility was the main thing. They used to go to whom? Aqrab faqih, the nearest faqih. Wa aysar rawin, the narrator who is more available. من دون ملاحظة الأعلمية, without requiring a'lamiyah. So if they had questions, they were going to someone who is knowledgeable, but they were not making it conditional upon being the most knowledgeable. وإرشادات الأئمة عليهم السلام كانت على هذا النحو. Also, the instructions that Imams used to give, the guidance that Imams used to give was also the same. Imams were referring people to ulama in their region, ulama that they have access to. Not many times you find that they would say you must go to the most knowledgeable person, and you go to this person only. There is no most knowledgeable person. كما مر نموذج منها في أخبار الباب. As you saw some samples before. In the beginning of this discussion, we had some samples about Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman, Zakaria ibn Adam, Aban ibn Taqlid, yeah? ولكن اشتهرت هذه الفتوى في العصور المتأخرة اشتهارا كبيرا. But this fatwa that you must refer to A'lam is a recent fatwa and has become very famous among the scholars who have come in recent centuries. فأين الإجماع يا ترى? When do you think there is ijma? There is no ijma. In the past, there was no ijma, certainly. Maybe there was ijma against it. And this is something new that you find ulama now. Most of them say there must be a'lam. Okay. So far, how many arguments we have mentioned? One was that it's أقرب إلى الواقع or أقوى في الظن. The second is this argument that they have said there is إجماع منقول. The third argument on behalf of those who say we must follow أعلم is مقبولة عمر ibn حنظلة. If you remember in Usul al-Fiqh when we talked about التعادل والتراجح, we talked about مقبولة عمر ibn حنظلة. And this is also one of the hadiths that are used for wilayat faqiyya, مقبولة عمر ibn حنظلة. Because Imam alayhi salam says, إني قد جعلته عليكم حاكما. In any case, we want to see whether we can understand أعلمية of Taqlid, أعلمية of marja or not. واستدلوا بمقبولة عمر ibn حنظلة. Some people have argued based on maqbula, because this is not sahih, but ulama have accepted and have issued fatwas based on this. So it's recognized. المذكورة آنفا بتمامها على طولها في أول أخبار التراجي. He says, just recently when we were talking about the hadith about two hadiths that conflict and we want to prefer one over the other, the discussion about ta'adul and taraji, he says in this discussion we mentioned the whole hadith. Okay? So استدلوا بمقبولة عمر بن حنظلة وهي لا تدل على ذلك. But this maqbula would not indicate that. It's not a good argument. It's not a good proof. Why? This is a very important question. Why? Because maqbulatu Umar ibn al-Hanzala is about what? It's about two people, two Shia, for example, have dispute over an issue. So it needs to settle this dispute by judging. They need a judge. It's not a matter of fatwa. It's a matter of hukm. Yeah? It's a matter of hukm. It's a matter of qadha, judgment. It's different from fatwa. He says, لأنها واردة في مقام الحكم لا الفتوى والتقليد. مقبولة عمر ibn Hanzala is said for a case when we need to settle and finish a dispute by judging, by issuing a verdict. It's not about fatwa. But we say, even if we suppose that it includes fatwa as well, okay? or it is only about fatwa. We want to compromise. We say, this is not about fatwa, but suppose we compromise, we say it includes fatwa, or even we compromise more and say it is only about fatwa, it doesn't include, hukm. Okay? لو سلمنا عمومها للفتوى أو اختصاصها بها means بالفتوى. If we compromise and say this hadith includes both hukm and fatwa, or it's only about fatwa, there is nothing more than this, to say that it's all about fatwa. Can we still see it's about a'lamiyah? He says no. He says even if you say Maghbula to Umar ibn Hanzala, it's about fatwa, or at least it includes fatwa, it would not indicate necessity of a'lamiyah. وَلَوْ سَلَّمْنَا عُمُومَهَا لِلْفَتْوَى أَوْ اخْتِصَاصَهَا بِهَا. If supposedly we compromise and say, okay, we accept that this includes fatwa, or it is only for fatwa. It means either it is hukm and fatwa, or only fatwa. But still we say it would not suit you, it would not benefit you. فَيَعْلَى مُدَّعَانَا أَدَلْ. He says actually it's more supporting our position. What is our position for the author?
It's not necessary.
A'lamiyah is not necessary. He says this maghbula actually supports our position. How? Because Imam alayhi salam says what? He says when they have dispute, يَنْظُرَانِ مَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ قد روى حديثنا ونظر في حلالنا وحرامنا وعرف أحكامنا فليرضوا به حكما فإني قد جعلته عليكم حاكما. Imam alayhi salam says if they have dispute, they should look at someone, they should try to find someone that has narrated our hadith, so means he's familiar with our hadith, and has looked carefully in our halal and haram, so he knows our sharia. And فَلْيَرْضَوْا بِهِ حَكَمًا, then they should accept him as hakam, because for arbitration. This is qadiyya tahkim. So two people have disputes, they agree on a third party who is knowledgeable about our fiqh and sharia, and they listen to the third party. فَإِنِّي قَدْ جَعَلْتُهُ عَلَيْكُمْ حَاكِمًا, and I have given authority, I have appointed such person as hakim. So you cannot then dispute with him. If both parties find a mujtahid, they must listen to him, because Imam has delegated authority to that person. So he says, you see, actually here there is no mention of a'lamiyah. They don't say they must find and agree on a third party who is the most knowledgeable. Imam says, no, someone who arafa, he knows our sharia, he knows our fiqh, he knows our halal and haram, but he doesn't need to be the most knowledgeable. فَلَمْ يَذْكُرْ شَرْطَ الْأَعْلَمِيَّةِ مَا أَنَّهُ فِي مَقَامِ الْبَيَانِ قَطْعًا. Imam alayhi salam has not mentioned the condition of a'lamiyah, although he is in a context that if there is anything needed for practice, he should have said it. Maqam al-bayan, we had so far many times this. وَأَمَّا قَوْلُهُ, but maybe you say, no, please go few lines forward, and then you would find that Imam actually mentions that you must follow to the most knowledgeable. أما قوله عليه السلام فيما بعد ذلك فيها بعد ذلك, the saying of Imam in this maghbula after some time, when the person who asked question, he says, okay, oh Imam, suppose they have both selected, so this person has instead of agreeing on one person, this has selected someone who knows your sharia and fiqh and ahkam and hadith, and this has chosen another. So, but if they conflict, what happens? If each of them agree on someone and those people are in agreement, that's fine. But even if they're representatives they disagree, what happens? أما قوله عليه السلام فيها بعد ذلك بعد فرض السائل اختيار كل واحد من المتخاصمين حكما غير الآخر فاختلفت الحكمان في حكمهما الحكم ما حكم به أعدلهما وأفقههما وأصدقهما في الحديث وأورعهما إلى آخره فإنما هو في مقام قطع الخصومة. So the sentence that Imam says, if both representatives, both people were appointed as judge by two parties, if they disagree, Imam says, we have to follow the verdict, the judgment of the one who is more just, more pious, more knowledgeable, more truthful. He says, yes, Imam says the one who is more knowledgeable, more truthful, but this is for when you have dispute and you want to settle the dispute. إنما هو في مقام قطع الخصومة. We want to finish this dispute, this enmity, a kind of course, enmity means enmity in the case, in the sense that one is in this side, one is on the opposite side. We want to finish when Hakamain have disagreement, we have to find a way to prefer one of them. What is better than preferring the one which is more knowledgeable, more pious? وفي هذا المقام لا ضير من الترجيح بذلك لحسم مادة النزاع. He says, although we don't believe in لزوم of أعلمية, but here, no problem. You solve the conflict by saying, we go by the opinion of أعلم. He says, no problem here. Because here we have to finish the debate, the dispute. Then he says, also with respect to the reference to another hadith, رواية داود ibn al-Hasin and الصادق عليه السلام, about two people, two men, اتفقا على عدلين. A and B agreed on C and D as two just and righteous people. اتفقا على عدلين. جعلاهما بينهما في حكم وقع بينهما خلاف. A and B have a case, they disagree. They have agreed on C and D to look into their case. But C and D also, they have different opinions. واختلف العدلان بينهما. These two just people, they themselves have different opinions. أن قول أيهما يمضي الحكم. According to opinion of which of these two, the verdict will be issued and will be going. Imam said, ينظر إلى أفقههما وأعلمهما بأحاديثنا. They should look at the one who is more knowledgeable and knows our hadith better. Again, as you see, this is about what? About judgment, about dispute. It's not about fatwa. Another hadith. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when appointed Malik Ashtar and Nakha'i, in his advice, in his instruction to him, said, اختر للحكم بين الناس أفضل رعيتك. Choose for judging among people or ruling among people, judging or ruling, the best of your citizens. Okay? So some people say, look, this says you have to go for the best. Al-afdal, not just mafdul. What is the answer? He says, this is for irshad. This is hukm irshadi. ظاهره أنه إرشاد لا للوجوب. It seems to be advice, not a command that must be followed. Why? Why this is not taken as a command, obligatory command? Because no one says, even those who say marja has to be a'lam, they don't say judge has to be a'lam. Yeah? In one city we may have 10 judges, 100 judges, 1,000 judges. Judge doesn't need to be a'lam. Judge has to be qualified, but doesn't need to be a'lam. So when Imam Ali says choose the best one, means it's better to do this. لأنه في مقام نسب القاضي الحاكم. Because this saying of Imam Ali to Malik Ashtar is about appointing a judge who is going to issue verdict. وَنُفُوذُ حُكْمِ الْمَفْضُولِ مِمَّا لَا إِشْكَالَ فِيهِ. And no one disputes, no one questions that the verdict of the one who is the second or third most knowledgeable is acceptable. In other words, no one says that judge has to be a'lam. Okay? So therefore, hadith of Imam Ali to Malik Ashtar should be taken as irshad. It's better. وَزُبْدَةُ الْقَوْلِ. What is zubdatul qawl?
The real or zubda like haqiqi.
Like conclusion.
Yeah.
But it seems it comes from, like zabat. Zubdatul qawl means like the cream which comes on milk.
Like we have ayah zubda.
Yeah. Zubdatul qawl is the cream of the discussion. So now we want to go to the cream of discussion. Okay? But this cream has no problem with cholesterol or whatever. You take it without problem. No, don't worry. إِنَّ مِن مَجْمُوعِ مَا ذَكَرْنَا. He says, from everything that we have said so far, arguments in favor of a'lamiyya and the arguments that we mentioned before that for saying that there is no need for a'lamiyya. Yeah? We had two discussions. He says, from all what we have discussed, لا يبعد أن يحصل القاطع بالتخيير. He says, it's not unlikely that we can say we have certainty, we are sure that there is choice. You have option. You can go for fadil, you can go for mafdul. You can go for the best, you can go for the second best or the third best. Where? In taqlid. This is not about imama. We said imama is different. This is not even about leadership. Leadership is different. Inshallah, I will mention some hadith about leadership. This is about fatwa. We are going to refer to experts. And he says, there is also a possibility of making a claim. He says, لو قيل, if it is said, إن العامي. Who is Ami? Ami is one of the Ammatun Nas, means lay people. If a person who is not mujtahid or a scholar, he wants to do taqlid, yeah, what should he do? He says it's possible to say that lay people الملتفت إلى أن التقليد من باب الرجوع إلى أهل الخبرة. If the lay people knows that we follow mujtahid because we want to refer to experts. So it's uqalai. Taqlid is uqalai. Everyone refers to experts. We have to refer to experts in fiqh. وَإِنَّهُ لَا يُلْزِمُهُ الْعَقْلِ فِي هَذَا الْبَابِ بِتَرْجِيحِ الْأَفْضَلِ. If he believes in two things. One is that this is an example of referring to experts. And second, aql doesn't say that you must refer to the best and the most knowledgeable expert. Okay? يَجُوزُ لَهُ الرُّجُوعُ إِلَى الْمَفْضُولِ. If army, the lay people, have these two things in their mind, that taqlid is based on bina uqala for referring to experts, and also there is no rational requirement to go to the best expert or to the most knowledgeable expert. So then it becomes possible for him to go to the second knowledgeable or the third knowledgeable and not following the best. Especially if this lay person is aware, is introduced to the hadith of Taqlid that ulama mention, and he finds that there is no mention of A'lamiyya. Okay? Neither it is mentioned nor there is a trace of it. Indeed, he finds those hadiths are more leaning towards takhir, you have choice. And the hadiths are in the context of explaining what we need to practice, but there was no mention of A'lamiyya. So he says maybe we can say not only us as, for example, scholars, even people who are not scholars, maybe they can come to this conclusion. Of course, we say that this is not something that lay people can make decision, because lay people, even if they think that, for example, this is from Bina Uqala or there is no hadith about Alamiyya, their judgment is not accepted because they're not experts. Yeah? If a lay person says, for example, I believe this medicine is okay because I have read about it, for example, and I didn't find any problem. The judgment of someone who is not expert is not significant. In any case, at the end he says, ولكن رأي أهل التحقيق من المتأخرين أنه لا بد من تقليد الأعلم في هذه المسألة. He is fair and admits that the opinion of أهل التحقيق من المتأخرين means those ulama, recent ulama who are muhaqqiq, means their knowledge is so good and they are so skillful that they try to find the truth, and they are very much recognized, and they are accepted as people whose ability to reach the truth is more. He says you find that these muhaqqiqin min al-mutaakhirin, they say you must follow a'lam. So people like the author of this book are not majority. Majority of ulama say you have to go to a'lam. For example, if I am not mistaken, Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi also believed that a'lamiyya is not needed. Okay? But most of Maraja say a'lamiyya is needed. Okay. I want to mention some hadith for you, because he talked in the way that as if we don't have that much hadith about A'lamiyya. Of course, he accepted that for judging we have Maqbuli, Umar ibn Hanzala or Malik Ashtar, you know. But we have actually more hadith. I don't deny that many of these hadiths might be for leadership. But on the other hand, we should not deny that marja'iyya is also a kind of leadership. Marja'iyya is not just a person in the library who gives you fatwa. Because investing respect and trust in one person, okay, prepares him for leadership. And I believe actually we benefit from our maraj in the leadership more than what we benefit just by asking fatwas. Asking fatwas is very important because a religious person wants to understand everything. Yeah? Wuzu, tayammum, salat, khums, hajj, nikah, divorce, eating, drinking, at'ima, ashraba. Yeah? We want to make sure that we follow sharia. But I believe if you follow this marja or that marja, or even someone, for example, maybe has passed away, okay? In the end of the day, may not make big difference if it is just a matter of fiqh. Okay, I'm not saying it's not important. Even one mas'ala you fail, you have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I am saying, when you look at the fatawas, okay, there is a range. Maybe 10%, 20% difference is not going to make a person, for example, going to hell or heaven. Okay? But what we need actually more is leadership. I hope I'm not misunderstood. So I repeat. For example, suppose A'lam says to me, you should do tawaf in this way, and the one who is not A'lam says, for example, no, you can go beyond Maqam, for example, Ibrahim. You doesn't need to go between Maqam and Hajr. Okay, it's very important. I don't want to underestimate. It's very important. And you have to make sure you find it. But in the end of the day, whether you act according to this alim or that alim, okay, it's not going to have a great impact on your situation. Okay? If it is excused, of course. If you are doing haram and deliberately, don't bother about the truth, that's another issue. But I'm saying, why, for example, Shara would not allow us to follow second knowledgeable? He's an expert. It's not a big thing if it is just itself, in my humble understanding. I think to make wuzu this way or that way, tayammum this way or that way, hajj this way or that way, as long as they are within the scholarly and juristic views, might not be big thing, but what we need to achieve is through telling people, ask your wuzu or tayammum or hajj from someone. We want to establish leadership. We want to train people to get used to asking someone for instruction. So we start with tayammum and wuzu, but then we understand what should we do when it comes to the interests of our community worldwide. How we should use our resources, how we should plan for future, how we should organize ourselves, how we should introduce ourselves to other people, how we should defend ourselves. Okay? Therefore, any attempt to weaken or question marja'iyya is not just harming us in wuzu and salat and tayammum and hajj. It's harming us in much greater way. Yeah? Because it means that you are dividing the community, you are dismantling the army, and people don't know what to do. If you look at history, for example, one fatwa of Mirza Shirazi saved the whole country of Iran. So, if all your life you follow someone so that when the day comes that he has to save the country, he has the power to save the nation, it's worth it. If all our life, all our generation, we listen to someone so that we establish him, so that when we are in the time of danger, he saves us. He unites us. He gives us direction. It's worth it. And we know what happened in Iran. We know what happened in Iraq. We see everywhere. When we listen to our leadership, we followed our maraja, they didn't just help us with wuzu and tayammum and salat. They helped us with everything. If it was not because of maraja, could we have our hawzas, our books, our ulama, our institutions? So these are very important issues. Okay, now I want to mention some hadith for you about a'lamiyya. But as I said, some of them might be about leadership, but I believe marja'iyya involves leadership. One hadith is from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and this hadith is in Nahj al-Balagha. Of course, some people may say Nahj al-Balagha, when it comes to fiqh, is to be discussed. Because, to be able to give fatwa based on Nahj al-Balagha is discussed among ulama. Some people say just to be Nahj al-Balagha is not enough, because for fatwa we have to be able to check all the references. Alhamdulillah, we have a musnad of Nahj al-Balagha. Some people have tried to document, but there are so many hadiths that leaves no doubt. So even if you have problem with one or two of them, the whole idea is very much mentioned. Ayyuhan nas, Amir al-Mu'minin salam says, Ayyuhan nas, inna ahaqqa nas bihadha al-amr aqwahum alayh wa a'lamuhum bi amrillah fi. O people, truly the one who is more entitled for this amr, for this affair, is the strongest one, who is the most capable, and a'lamuhum bi amrillah fi, the one who has more knowledge about the command of God in this issue. So who can lead the people? Who is more capable and more knowledgeable. Inshallah, after a little break, inshallah we continue. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.